My parents grew up in Manhattan and moved out to Long Island with the earliest of the commuting wave back in 1938. I had two brothers. I grew up in Long Island, went to high school in New York City. Regis High School, which is a well-known school here. It's a sort of the crown jewel of the Jesuits' secondary school system in the country. Learning for learning's sake, not just what you knew, but the whole process, the respect for knowledge, the respect for scholarship, and as much or perhaps more, the basic concept that you are there to help other people out. That's why you're on the face of the earth, is to make the community better. They very much exude that feeling.
Bob is, he's just one of the nicest people I have ever met. I mean, you're happy to see him walk into a room. He's kind to people. He does not differentiate people based on their role in life at all. Being a public interest lawyer is not a question of where you work. It's really a question of what's in your heart. So that's a tremendous gift as well.
My role in helping in the pro bono area has matured and come about quite heavily in conjunction with my role as chair of the firm, because it's the bully pulpit that you sit in when you run an organization of this size includes the need to encourage people to take on even additional work over and above a rather full plate by engaging in pro bono work on behalf of the poor and disadvantaged. Then I ran into Esther Lardent.
I was struck by, first of all, how wonderfully he explained why pro bono was important to the values and the culture of large law firms, that it's possible for people who made a different choice and who went into commercial law, and of course Skadden is the sort of archetype of commercial law, that it's possible for those people to care passionately about people who are poor and disadvantaged and have been sort of tossed aside by society. And Bob feels that passion.
It's important for any number of reasons. First of all, because we're privileged to become lawyers, and the profession has some obligation as a profession to help out with respect to people who otherwise don't have appropriate access to the legal system. They simply don't have the means to do it.
It really is about that being a good lawyer means looking around you, seeing what's going on in the world, and owning that problem and understanding that particularly for those to whom much is given, much is required of them. They really need to give back.
The law firms are best situated to help to provide the services that are needed in the communities, and therefore the encouragement from me as the head of the institution to the participants in the institution, the associates, counsel, and partners here, to facilitate the giving of those services, the human desire to help out an individual. When you do it, you very directly give aid and comfort to somebody who you usually do not have contact with in the business world.
Bob's family is very important to him. His children, Lindley, Rob, and Will, are just, they're some of the most important and lovely people in his life. And Bob's wife, Beth, shares Bob's passion for doing good, working with children from families at risk. In a very real sense, she is part of the passion for doing good and volunteering and pro bono. They really share that, as well as obviously sharing their lives together.
It gives you a good, warm feeling when you accomplish something on behalf of an individual.
was born in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. I'm very, very proud of that. My daughter Tricia now lives in Brooklyn, and I'm also very proud of that. The family relationship was very important to us. I was a mom working in my community to build a playground for the children. We were very hands-on. We raised a lot of money. We actually built the playgrounds ourselves. And through that, I met who was then our state senator, Gary Ackerman. And one day he called me and he said, will you come on over and talk to me about maybe coming to work for me?
I like to pride myself in being able to identify people who do have talent. It was not a challenge in regard to Terri. She had talent written all over her. She was able to organize instantaneously who has to do what. The morale in the office was superb. Everybody felt almost joyful about coming to work. It was such a fun place to be. With all the serious problems and the serious challenges that we face, Terri was able to find a way to get through it with a little bit of humor, which I guess made it a lot easier.
You know, every day you came to work and you either helped solve community problems. You know, I would be outside working with community groups, with community boards on real live community issues to make Queens and our communities better places to live. You can't think of anything more fulfilling than helping people manage day to day.
She relates to people. She puts herself almost instantaneously in their shoes. You know, what would I feel if this happened to me? Where would I go? Her tremendous success led to great acclaim. And the time came after doing this for a while, and it was time, I guess, that she said to me, I can leave the nest and fly on my own.
I've been at Citigroup 17 years, doing work that I love. It's community work. It's what I'm about, what makes me feel fulfilled. And I'm doing this for a great company and getting paid for it. I'm responsible for community relations and what's called state civic affairs. So I work very closely with our staff across the company and across the country whose work is community relations. You know, it's all about relationships. I get to meet wonderful people every day making a difference in their communities, whether they're in the nonprofit sector or whether they're employees of Citigroup. And it's very fulfilling. It's challenging at times, but you really get to see the best of people.
She was on the Board of Ed, New York City Board of Ed, a very difficult institution. Terri got the position and did something with it. Terri stood her ground and advocated not for herself, not for anybody else, but for the children of the city of New York, all the kids in the city. And for that, a whole generation of young people owe her a debt of gratitude.
I can't think of in public or private life something more meaningful than having an impact on children's education. So it was a challenging but very, very rewarding 4 years. I went into it, not knowing much about education, about the policy side of education, and just decided that I was going to work really, really hard, and at the end of the day, always make decisions that I thought was in the best interest of the children.
You walk into a jewelry store and you try to pick the gem. It's kind of hard when there are that many. To people who care, to people who are humanitarians, to people who dedicate themselves to others, Terri stands out. And I bet it wasn't hard at all for the people who have done such good work all the way in my land of birth, Brooklyn. All of those great humanitarians to sit down and say, who should we honor tonight? To look at each other and say, of course, it's Terri. Congratulations.
At the end of the day, after you've worked your career and your life is almost over, you want to look back and say, what have I accomplished? Have I made a difference in somebody's life? I'm blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, inside and out, and a wonderful husband who has always been very supportive and he has been my partner and my best friend all these years. That's really what matters, not how much money you made, not how many buildings you built, but really, have you touched somebody's life? Have you made a difference?
To me, the mission is to help people help themselves to improve their living conditions and their housing in the neighborhood, and to get involved and become people that can make a difference on their own, for us to help them become able to fight the system if necessary, fight their landlord if necessary, but in the end, get their buildings in better condition and live a better life. I applied for the VISTA program right out of college, and I went through the training that they had. I came to New York City from a small town in Connecticut, and although it wasn't that far away, it was a whole different world here in New York. And within a couple of weeks, I loved it.
I could never imagine Los Sures without a Barbara. My goodness, I don't know what would happen if our people, our community, what would happen to our community without Barbara? Without her, no, I don't think Los Sures would be able to continue.
Well, this community is, when I first came, and for many years afterwards, it was a community where there were people that were left here that in many cases just didn't have the resources to go somewhere else. There was a lot of abandonment. There were many abandoned buildings. There were many buildings with only half occupancy. And those are the people that really decided to stay and fight for their buildings. So the heart and soul to me is the people of the neighborhood that have really stuck it out, and that really, that wanted to stay here and work together and, help their neighbors. There's such a sense of community here.
Even though there are a lot of changes going on in our community, that we still have a chance, and that if we stick together, we can actually remain here, and we can fight and get what is ours. A lot of hope. Hope that our people will have an opportunity, a chance to be able to stay in our community, which is one of the biggest things and the biggest fights we have right now.
The development and management have been important parts of the organization and our ability to really improve housing on a bigger scale in the neighborhood. But basically the main focus and the heart and soul and the beginning of Los Sures has never been lost, which is the organizing, advocacy, people knowing what their rights are, and working together to improve their conditions.
I've learned now that organizing is the only way you can help your community. I've learned through organizing how to care for my people. She is always there to help anyone and everyone at any time, does whatever she has to do, goes over her limit to help the people in our community. I think she's awesome.
It feels like a sense of accomplishment. I don't feel like that I've done it. I really, it's the people in the neighborhood and the spirit that's there, and they've done it. And I've been a part of it, and I've been happy to be a part of it, but I don't look at it as I've done it. I couldn't do anything without the people in the community wanting to do it and looking to us as a resource to help them do it.
Barbara's an amazing person. She's not a Latina, and as you know, my community is Latinos. And for her to feel this love and this affection to our people, to the Latinos in this community, it's like amazing. I could never say that I would have probably felt something like this, if I didn't meet her and I didn't see how she was. She cares so much. This is her life, and she's made it my life.
Well, I've learned so much about people working together, getting together, a sense of family. I really feel that Los Honorees is my second family. We spend so much time together, and it's not just working to get something done. It's working together. It's having fun together. It's doing things that are recreational as well as working together, and so it's a real sense of family.